Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, the J-Man, and I'm here today with a rant. I'm ranting, of course, over the whole voiceover controversy that's sweeping the nation. This is yet another thing that the liberals/liberal Hollywood thinks is racist. First it was pancake syrup, rice, and now voiceover acting. Now, the biggest difference between live action acting and doing voiceover work is that when you're doing live action, they're after your appearance, your physical representation. So, if there is a movie that requires a black character, let's say Black Panther, they're going to cast a person of African American descent. Makes sense. But if you're doing voiceover work, they're just after your voice. Your voice, whomever it comes out of, is unique to that character. They want that voice, not your appearance. Now, don't get me wrong. If the production of a movie or television show wants a particular voice cast, by all means, it's their right. It's their art. It's their medium. Like when Coco was being made, they wanted a predominantly or entirely Hispanic cast. They wanted that authenticity. It's their right. Same thing with Moana. They wanted a predominantly or almost predominantly Polynesian/Samoan cast. It makes sense. But if you cast somebody just for their voice, not for their appearance, and that was the get-go from the start, you can't all of a sudden claim racism. When it comes to a voice actor's voice for a character, it has no ethnicity. A lot of times people who are African American sound white or like kids and vice versa. It's called acting. It's pretend. It's fantasy. Now you're going to tell them, okay, you're black. You only play a black voice. White, you only play white. That seems kind of racist to me. Could you imagine, like, when we were all kids and we had to do a play for the school, let's say Romeo and Juliet, and we had a very diverse group of kids? Could you imagine if, let's say, a little Asian girl who was in your class tried out for the role of Juliet, and then the casting director is like, I'm sorry, little girl, you can't play Juliet. You're not white. That would go over really well, don't you think? I just think it's really pathetic of Hollywood apologizing for something that was never a problem. And what really makes me angry is the fact that they all automatically gave in without defending their choices. You can have a difference of opinion. Just because someone claims something is racist doesn't make it so. And this all started with Jenny Slate quitting her role in that show Big Mouth, a show which is very vulgar, very inappropriate, not for children. Suddenly has a moral high ground where you're like, wait a minute, this is wrong. Jenny Slate played the voice of a biracial little girl. Now, Jenny Slate is known to have a very cutesy, somewhat high-pitched voice. If you watch the Secret Life of Pets movies, she plays Gidget, the little white yappy dog. And you can imagine why they wanted her voice. It wasn't a race thing, it was just her voice. Some people just have very distinctive voices that a lot of people want in their productions. When she accepted the role, or they cast her in the role, no one thought, hey, is this going to upset people that we have a white woman playing a biracial character if this was so wrong? And no one could claim it was a different time. A few years ago was a different time. The KKK was on vacation. And someone made a good point online, believe it or not. They said if she was so upset, so devastated that she regrets this role, is she going to give the money back or donated that she made playing this character. Of course not. This is Hollywood talking about. They could say they're sorry all they want, but they're not going to do anything to really show they're sorry. They're just going to save face and be like, we're still cool though. We're still friends, right? Mike Henry. Mike freaking Henry. Not Mark Henry. Mike Henry is a producer on Family Guy, and he's also voiced several characters on the show, including Cleveland Brown, who is an African American character. And now after 20 years, he's like, this should be voiced by a black person. Not in those exact words. So from 1999 to 2020, early this year, Cleveland Brown was not a problem, even on his own show. Well, the show was a problem, but that's a different story. Now, playing this very popular character who is not a racist caricature is a problem. People loved Cleveland Brown for the way he talks and just for his mannerisms. And now it's racist because he's played the voice for so long, or I don't know. It's so bad. But now, since he's stepping down from his role as Cleveland, does that mean he's also going to stop playing Herbert because he's not a creepy old pedophile? And is he going to stop playing Consuela too? Or because she isn't black, it's okay. We can make fun of Hispanics, but not the black people. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to mention about the Big Mouth situation. Nick Kroll, who created, stars, and whatever on the show, basically was regretting hiring Jenny. I mean, they like Jenny, but he basically said, we should have hired a African American for this role. Like, no, you did the right thing. You're apologizing for a crime that never happened. If it was your intention from the start to go, okay, this is a black character, let's cast a black person. This is a Hispanic person, let's cast a Hispanic actor, and so on, fine. But you went after who you thought was the best voice representation, like you would be allowed to do. There's no law against it. And I kid you not, when I read his Facebook statement over this, it was beyond pandering. It was like stunning and brave, taken up to a whole new level, to the point where I literally wanted to gag. And now with The Simpsons, remember the Apu situation, but now it trickles down to any character on the show that isn't a Caucasian character. So now guys like Julius Hibbert, Lou the Cop, Carl will no longer be voiced by the Caucasian members of the cast, which is actually all of them. The main cast is all Caucasian, believe it or not. And now they're going to either have to get rid of those characters or recast them. Now, if they get rid of those characters, that's obviously less characters on the show that people like. Or they recast them and hire new actors, which would cost the studio more money, on top of how much money they pay these actors who've been doing the roles for like 30 years. Now, this decision could backfire, end up costing the studios, and let's face it, no more Simpsons. Now, with all these new changes coming to how races are being voiced in cartoons, what does that mean for other situations? Like how Nancy Cartwright voices Bart Simpson. Does she get recast? Because she's not a 10-year-old boy. She's a grown woman. Does a little boy have to voice Bart from now on? And what about another show like Bob's Burgers? Do they take some of those cast members out because some, like the mother, I forgot her name, and the daughter are voiced by men? Is that now sexist because a man is voicing a woman? Shouldn't a woman voice a woman? Oh, another thing I forgot to mention about the Jenny Slate show. So, who are you going to get to replace the biracial character? Are you going to get someone who's African American, but isn't that not right because she's biracial and you're casting a black person to play someone like that? Now that I've said all this, what about the polar opposite of all this? Do black people still continue to voice characters that are not black? Let's look at some examples, shall we? You remember how I mentioned Cleveland earlier? Well, Kevin Michael Richardson, who is a very, very good voice actor, he's got a very booming, dark, menacing voice. He played the voice of Lester on the Cleveland show, who was a white redneck. Should he apologize for ever voicing this character because he is not a white redneck? No, of course not. Should Cree Summer, who has voiced Penny from the Inspector Gadget cartoon back in the day, and Elmira from Tiny Toons, should she apologize for voicing two white girls? And she is not white? No, of course not. She's a very good voice actress. People want her for her voice. But you're probably saying to yourself, J-Man, but those were from the 80s and 90s, a different time. Eyes rolling back in my head after you said that. No one has done that recently. Oh yeah? The new Scooby-Doo movie, Scoob, which just came out straight to streaming, there is a character called Captain Caveman, who, even though he's covered in a load of body hair, he's obviously Caucasian. And did a white person play Captain Caveman? No. It was beloved African-American funny man Tracy Morgan. So naturally, he should apologize, right? No. Let me give you an example of other races playing other races. Samurai Jack. Obviously, a Japanese character was voiced by beloved voice actor and comedian Phil LaMarr. Phil LaMarr is synonymous with the role of Samurai Jack. Should he have to apologize for the 7 seasons, I think it was 7 seasons, of Samurai Jack because he's not a Japanese man voicing a Japanese character? No. His voice is synonymous with that role. If they would have went out of their way to find a Japanese actor, fine. It would have been weird, but fine. But they just wanted a good voice actor, no matter what he looks like. Kevin Michael Richardson, once again, he voiced the Shredder, a Japanese character, in the 2012 TMNT cartoon. Shouldn't, once again, a Japanese man play his voice? No. He has such a distinctive voice that is scary and commanding. It was perfect for the Shredder. Who cares who was casted, as long as they can play the part? And he nailed it. You remember in the original trilogy of Star Wars, Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker, who is white, as seen in the prequel trilogies, as well as being the father of Luke Skywalker. They hired a certain voice actor or a certain actor to play the voice, and it was none other than James Earl Jones. Once again, an African American actor. Now, since he wasn't white, shouldn't they have hired a white actor to voice this white character? And should James Earl Jones apologize and renounce his career as Darth Vader from ever existing? Hell no. I can go on and on. Like, should actors who are British apologize for doing American roles? Like, should Christian Bale apologize for Batman because he's not from America? Same thing with Tom Holland, who played Spider-Man. Should he apologize too for the role that he loves to death and step down? A voice is a voice. So from now on, especially during this time of everything is racist in the world and we have to change it, stop, think, do your research. Because what you think is racist may not be racist. And the things are racist are getting overlooked. And those are the problems that should be addressed. Not if this fictional drawing is voiced by the person it looks like.